Hello, beautiful beings. It's Andrea Fowkes, and I'm here to talk about the Beaver moon this evening. And I'm in Avalon in Glastonbury this evening. Let me just turn everything around so I can see you all better. And I've been in the north of England for a week looking after my dad, and I've just come back for this Beaver moon, and I'm really lucky that outside here it's spectacular. I can really see this big moon, and I'm not an astrologer, that's not my thing to talk about astrology too much, but I can talk about the emotions of what this Beaver moon is bringing up. And it's a blood moon, and it's obviously a lunar eclipse, as we know. And I think it's bringing up emotions of discernment, intuition, boundaries. It's bringing up the shadow aspects of ourselves that we've never looked at. And of course, in the work that I do for the last 20 years, it's to do with our past lives. So we're going to have to look at what does this mean about our own shadow selves. I think this moon in particular, which is going to be in this phase, it started at, I think it was 1 minute past 11 this morning, and it's going to be quite intense for 6 months, this energy of this moon. And I think if you use this in a positive way, I think the thing is, I just looked to see what other people were saying about this moon, and nobody was saying the same thing. Everybody was saying something different, which from my perspective is that people are speaking from their own level of consciousness of where they're at. And that can be a good thing and that can be a bad thing. But I think where everybody crossed on this moon was that it is going to focus on that which we have not looked at. And in the work that I've done in past life regression, inner child healing, ancestral timeline healing, spirit relesement, we're always going into the shadow of ourselves. And the more we work on this shadow of ourselves, the more it is that the gift keeps giving. So we get to look at what is it we're not seeing? Why is life not flowing in the direction we want it to? Or even if it's not flowing in the direction that you want it to, do you have the skill set within yourself to deal with the roller coaster of life, to deal with the emotions as the events of life throw them up to you? Have you got enough intuition to navigate your ways through this time? Can you do it with grace and dignity to yourself? Are you going to come out of this a more evolved, expanded person by the experience? Or are you going to be battered so badly you're kind of on the floor and still yet not mastering discernment, still not figuring out why are these things happening to me? It's a bit like the other day while I was in the north helping my dad, someone else is saying to me, why are we drawing all these things to us as a family? Why is these negative events happening? Car accidents, drama in a relationship with a family. Why are all these things happening? And I know from my own journey that eventually when you start to look at what is it in me that's magnetically drawing this into my reality, and once you start to take 100% responsibility, and by 100% responsibility, that does not mean that everything is your responsibility. What it means is for you to learn discernment and boundaries of, these things are not my responsibility. And these things, perhaps these are my responsibility, and I've actually not seen them as being my responsibility. But when you take responsibility for certain things, then you are empowered to heal and change them. Like the workshop that I did last weekend in Glastonbury was healing the ancestral timeline. So we're looking at the family that we've chosen to incarnate into. Now, in my experience of these 20 years looking into past lives, of why have we chosen this family to incarnate into? Because remember, you've got your soul lineage, which is your past lives, and you've got your ancestral lineage. So why have you chosen to incarnate into this ancestral lineage? or you've chosen, usually what I find in my examination in regression and past lives with people, you've chosen to incarnate because of usually one person more than somebody else perhaps in that family dynamic. Now that might be your mum, it might be your dad, it might be a brother, it might be a sister, it might be a grandmother, it might be a grandfather, it might even be an aunt or an uncle, but there's somebody who's very significant in that family dynamic of why you've chosen to incarnate into that family. It's unlikely that everybody in that family is why you've chosen to incarnate. There'll be a propensity towards one person's soul lineage linked to a past life, perhaps more than another. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean because you have this soul incarnation with them from another lifetime that it's all going to be moon, stars and roses. It might be that there's a lot of conflict with that person that you have a past life with. It might feel that it's easier to love the other people in your family that you have maybe had less past lives with. So once you start to see it on this deeper level, and we explore these past lives in regression sessions or through doing emotional Akashic records or guided meditations. I have a lovely meditation that can take you not so much into your past lives, but into your emotional self through all your energy centers. And that is the gift that keeps giving. So when we focus on this, like this weekend that's coming up, I'm back at the Chalice Well again, and I'm doing a 2-day workshop there. And we're doing on Saturday, trusting your intuition. And this is the biggest thing that we are empowered to do. And we need to use this moon energy to work on our intuition, trusting our intuition. You know, why would you not trust your intuition? Do you know the difference between your fear, which is not your intuition? You know, the intuition is a gut feeling, a gut instinct from clearing the shadow out so that you know this is the difference. This is my intuition. I need to trust my intuition, because trusting my intuition is the gift that keeps giving. So in this workshop, what I do is help you develop skills and gifts and confidence to hone what that intuition is for you personally, and to build that confidence and that strength in trusting your intuition. Because when you've acted from a place of your intuition, you can never be wrong. It can only be a catalyst to your soul growth and your confidence and your ability to grow as a human, to learn certain things and to be less naive, for want of a better word, to not be so naive and gullible, and to have that grace and integrity to make your way through life in a way that is insightful to yourself. And then on the Sunday, what we're going to be doing is another workshop, which is living in the heart. So then we look at maybe other lifetimes. Of course, we're going to look at also past lives or inner child issues or ancestral issues, based around the intuition and then based around the heart. You know, why don't we live in the heart? Why are we frightened of following our heart's calling? Why do we follow this logical, analytical brain when it isn't always our heart's calling? Why do we not have that intuitive confidence to follow our heart? You know, following our heart, following our passion, being in joy, being in a lightness always brings, you know, beautiful experiences to ourselves. And it was great for me, having spent a week up in the north and experienced kindness in the north. You know, like I got gifted free flowers in the supermarket that were, you know, reduced, but the gentleman in the supermarket offered them to me for free. So I took these gorgeous bunches of flowers and I took them to my auntie in the care home, and I gave them to another lady in the care home. And that's sort of, you know, kindness and benevolence to other people and thoughtfulness. We really want to develop thoughtfulness of seeing a bigger picture. You know, like I thought to ask, and maybe in the past I might not have thought to ask, but I thought to ask, who of these ladies in this care home doesn't have any family and doesn't have any visitors? I will gift the other flowers to that person. So that's developing. It's beyond kindness. It's thoughtfulness. It's thinking, how best would would these flowers serve this situation? Because I've got one for my auntie, and then who do I give these other ones to? So that's an example of us developing our own level of thoughtfulness and being thoughtful to other people. And as we develop, yes, it does come with a bigger level of responsibility. So this moon is going to highlight everything we want to look behind the wizard's cloak of our own reality at. You know, what is it we are hiding from ourselves? You know, what masks are we wearing? You know, we've had 2 years of wearing masks, or some people have, maybe I haven't. But, you know, some people enjoyed hiding behind that. You know, some people enjoy going to the masked ball. I personally don't resonate with those kinds of things. I prefer to, you know, sort of show ourselves in our true light of who we are, so that it's there's no deception. You're just being completely transparent and honest. You don't need to be deceptive or manipulative. You can just stand in your own integrity and the truth of who you are. So this moon is just going to bring up everything that is not in alignment with your higher self. And it might seem quite tricky if there's a lot for you to process, to come into alignment with that. You know, there's no right or wrong. It's just allowing you to come into that energy of that and developing all these skills and gifts. And so I think this Beaver moon, you know, like I said at the beginning, I'm not an astrologer. It's not my big thing. I love looking at the stars. You know, I love seeing the Pleiades. I love seeing Venus. We've had that Venus alignment. I do feel to a degree the energies of these planetary alignments do affect us. But at the end of the day, we can choose, you know, the power of our own self can choose how we're going to be affected by these things. And although we can see, well, there might be an energy that is going to push things to come to the surface. So if we bear that in mind, we can better navigate our ways, you know, through this time, connect with our multidimensional galactic soul star self, call on your higher self, call on your multidimensional self, you know, work with those energies, work with what works for you. So there's lots more to share on another day. And I think for today, I'm using my phone to do this, which is quite an unusual. Well, let me see if there's any questions. I'm not sure I can see, but let me just see if I can, because it's formulated slightly differently than normal, and it isn't letting me see if there are any messages. So if you have put any messages in the chat, I'm really sorry, but I can't actually see them just now. But I'll have a look later and I'll reply in the comments at the bottom. And if you are interested in joining me in Glastonbury this weekend at my workshops, I have still got some spaces left if you would like to join me. You can do just one day or you can do both days. And the link will be on my website, which is andreafouks.com, and you can read more about the workshops there. So I'm sending you much love and many blessings for this Beaver moon and the energies of Avalon. And that moon is spectacular outside. So, you know, go outside, stand barefoot in the moon, set your intention, connect with the earth, ask what is going to serve you for your soul's highest purpose. And, you know, as we release these things and we have this wisdom and insight in ourselves, things do really change. So much love for joining me now. Many blessings. And I'll be seeing some of you for one-to-one sessions in Regression in Avalon very soon. So much love. Bye for now. Many blessings. And now I've got to find out how to end